And now he brings in another quality again, how to live one's life. How do we live our life? Another quality, titiksha, very important quality. Titiksha ka, he says, shitoshna sukha dukkhadi sahishnutvam. This is a very, very important quality because this is something we need actually in this day and age, with all the ups and downs, with all the changes that are happening. Our security, whatever we found security in, is just vanishing actually in many areas. Very, very difficult because we don't know what's going to happen next. You think you've got a vaccine for coronavirus, suddenly another variant comes, suddenly some other variant comes. This is what, at least it's happening in UK. I don't know about US, but UK seems to be full of mutants and mutations all the time. You hear every day something new coming up. But this value is again addressing this titiksha ka. Life is painful situations. That's what Bhagavan is saying. Physically, we will have also painful situations. Where there's pain, there will be pleasure. We are faced with these pairs of opposites on all levels of our living experience. Emotionally, we will also feel 1 minute sad, 1 minute happy, sometimes depending on the phases of the moon, because yesterday I was talking about how the moon affects the mind as well. Chandra is the presiding deity of the mind. How beautifully the rishis connected the moon with the mind. Thousands of years back, they've connected the mental states that humanity has to face with what the phases of the moon as well. We have it also in English, lunatic, lunar, anything connected with moon. So Swami Dayananda often told the story of a psychiatrist student of his who said they were very, very wary on full moon day in the mental hospital when all the patients used to go a bit off, even further off. New moon day, they used to be relatively calm, but full moon day came, it was very difficult to manage all the patients. So they were actually watching phases of moon, without having studied Tattva Bodha or anything, but people do notice these connections as well. So this painful situations emotionally will come. Mentally, we have to go through pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, praise and censure. How do we take this duality in life? Because every coin has two sides. We cannot just have one side. Where there's praise, there will be censure. In fact, the more popular you get, you'll have more people pulling you down on the other side. That's part of the growth of popularity. Any success that's seen in life, there is about 100 people who want to pull you down anyway, because that is what the world is like. We cannot criticize the world. The world is built that way. We have to live with pairs of opposites. Bhagavan talks about this in the 13th chapter. In fact, he talks about it a lot. I'm bringing in Gita verses because we will begin Gita study and all the knowledge is there anyway. But he talks about accepting facts. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. In the 13th chapter, he brings this up as a value to be actually followed day after day. What is that value? To see the effervescence, to see the ephemerality of life. Janma, mrityu, birth, death, jara, old age, vyadi, disease. And he says, anudarshanam. That is the interesting thing. He doesn't say, just look at this. He says, Anu, keep seeing daily on a day-to-day basis. See all of this, because that will help you get perspective in life. All those problems that you feel like mountains become molehills when you see the full perspective. It is not, nothing is that urgent. Nothing is that important. Nothing is that big that you can't handle when you see things in a larger perspective. That's why these values are brought up. Accept the facts of life. That is what he is saying here. Titiksha is a cheerful acceptance. We'll see, Adi Shankara's definition of Titiksha brings in a lot more, and it's very interesting. Acceptance of facts is one thing, but can we cheerfully accept facts? Not so easy, right? So acceptance of facts, we begin with acceptance of facts. Even all avatars had to go through suffering. You see, Rama, all the Puranas, if you read, Rama, Krishna, you think because they're incarnations of divinity, they don't have to suffer. In fact, they suffered even more. A human being living that type of life. Rama, the moment of his coronation, he's chucked out of his kingdom by a person he regarded as his mother. And Valmiki Ramayana, if you read, the verse where Rama walks out, such a dignified exit from the kingdom. If you can imagine, human beings cannot exit like that, but Valmiki describes Rama's state of mind during that exit. And it is pure, he says, it is like a placid lake, untouched, unmoved. He knew this is what is to be done. He did not get disturbed. Inside, totally undisturbed, whatever, wearing that bark from a prince to what? Pauper. He had to live in the forest for all those years in huts without all the comforts that he was brought up with, he was used to. And despite that life change, severe life change, his mind, Valmiki said, was pure, untouched, unperturbed, like a lake without any waves in it. Now, he's avatar. So we may say he's an avatar. We don't get that, but we can also aim for that. These are examples. These avatars are examples. Their lives are examples of how human beings can grow towards that. Krishna also went through a lot in his life. We know that he went through a lot of problems as well. So everybody has to face, as soon as you're incarnated in this planet or any other planet, you will have to go through duality, because the whole life is a dual life. And if you succumb to the unpleasant experiences in life, what happens? Your mind is not available for you. You cannot do anything with a mind that is constantly succumbing to unpleasant experiences, becoming dejected, depressed, despondent, because things are not the way you want them to be. How do we handle the pain? How do we handle the physical and mental pain that we all have to face? Now, the first thing we do is change the condition. That is the first attempt of a human being. No, I don't like this condition. Let me make change. So I make all the attempts to change conditions that are not conducive to my happiness. But many of the times, what do I find? They're remedial measures. And they may be very expensive as well. We invest a lot of money in trying to change a particular situation that we don't like. It may be expensive, a lot of time and energy it may take to change that. There's nothing wrong with changing situations that you can change. This titiksha, actually meaning forbearance, tolerance, doesn't mean you have to bear all unpleasant situations in your life. We have to be careful. It doesn't mean you have to do that. If you can change something, if it is in your power to change, do it. If you want to change it, do it. But we are talking about, what about those situations you cannot change? There are many situations in life that come to us. How do we have power over changing them? We cannot. This, if titiksha is a value to help us handle those situations which are unchangeable in life. Because if I keep trying to change, and suppose I cover up, like I'm discovering now, and you're all doctors, these painkillers, allopathic painkillers, just cover up the symptoms for a length of time, but the actual root cause still persists all the time. So I see now how people constantly cover up that particular cause of the, any kind of illness, any kind of disease through all these medication, and it's very difficult to address that cause. So it could be a temporary allay of the actual symptoms. The Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavata Purana, very beautifully, there's a verse that says, it is like, constantly changing the situation, like moving a heavy load from your right shoulder to your left shoulder. So for a while, the right shoulder feels light, but then your left shoulder becomes heavy. Then you move it back to the right shoulder. So you alleviate the discomfort for a short length of time, but you haven't handled the problem, to the extent you can. So this value says, first of all, Dhamma is brought in with titiksha. There's not an immediate release to pressure, not an immediate blow up, not immediate letting out steam. It is an objective view of the situation. What we do when something wrong or something unpleasant happens, we immediately react to it. This titiksha teaches you, no, don't immediately react. Breathe deeply, keep your calm, and then your intellect should kick in to see, how can I deal best with this situation? So titiksha doesn't mean you just accept painful situations and sit and suffer. Like in Chennai heat, just sitting there, especially now, Agni Nakshatram, as I said, it'll be very, very hot in Chennai, and sitting in that heat saying, no, heat, I'm going to bear the heat, titiksha, I'm going to handle this heat without turning on the AC. No, that is not titiksha. If you have the ability to change it, turn on the AC, live a comfortable life. So don't suppress. When you suppress, again, suppression is not talked about in Titiksha. Don't make yourself into a victim, because that will create more psychological damage and suffering. It is seen as the ability, the capacity to tolerate painful situations, Titiksha. In fact, the Japanese, I often used to wonder if you see Japanese, as I said, Japanese game shows, some of them are very, I don't know how those game shows, they have to go through a lot of torture in those game shows, but the ability to be able to tolerate physical pain is shown there. It makes one strong. So even when we stretch ourselves physically, when we train our minds physically, it actually helps in all areas of our life. And this capacity varies from person to person. Some people are able to take these unpleasant things that are chucked at them. Some people are not. They're very emotionally weak, they're not. But it doesn't mean they cannot build up emotional strength. And what is the way of building up emotional strength? Again, we have to bring in Ishvara. Ishvara becomes very important in one's life. And how do I bring Ishvara into my life? Even this japa, this chanting, the shloka saying, this mantra, all of these things are the way of drawing or connecting with that Ishvara, with the whole, to bring in the strength from an external source. You think actually it's an external source, but what it really is the strength which is invoked in you, which you already have to be able to bear life. So it feels like I don't have strength. You see, you say to yourself, I don't have any strength. I don't have anything. I don't know what to do. Go to the altar, turn to Ishvara, pray, and you develop a great strength. But that strength is already with you. It is just being invoked through an external source. So unpleasant situations cannot change the ups and downs in life. Shankara's actual definition of Titiksha, he says in a verse, in a very beautiful text, is Viveka Chudamani. Viveka Chudamani is a crest jewel of wisdom. He says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. So here he says the ability, sahishnutvam, means the ability to tolerate the heat and cold. Sahishnutvam, Shita, Ushna. Shita is cold, Ushna is heat. So it is the ability to tolerate these pairs of opposite. Sukha dukkha, he says as well. Even the ability, we don't have to tolerate sukha actually. He brings in here. We never have to tolerate happiness. We love to be happy. We love to be, in pleasant, the pleasant self loves to feel, alive. But he brings in the pairs of opposites because you cannot have one without the other. So endure these pairs of opposites. He says sahishnutvam, and invoke Ishvara's grace for it. But he gives the method here in his verse, sarva dukkhanam sahanam. All of this unhappiness you have to face in life, go through it, apratikara purvakam. For a spiritual aspirant, he's brought in this word, apratikara purvakam, without searching for steps to nullify this sukha or the dukkha. This is very, very interesting that he's added this. As I said just before, most human beings want to make a change in life. If we can make a change, we make a change. But here he's saying, have that ability not to immediately nullify the dukkha, the unpleasantness. See if you can bear it. It is a very good quality to cultivate. Bear what Bhagavan has given you, because whatever is manifesting in your life, and if you're bearing it, you're actually getting rid of papa karma. See, it's a way we perceive life. In the spiritual light, if I get rid of papa karma, it's actually a good thing in my life. If I'm exhausting punya, actually, it is not such a good thing because my punya is going down. So it's a very, very different perspective of looking at life. We think we want punya, we want pleasant punya manifesting as pleasant experiences. We love that. In fact, Shastra says that's dangerous because your punya account is going down. Papa, when you exhaust papa, unpleasant experience, your papa account is going down, which is what we want. We don't want papa. we get rid of papa as well. So if we can see it, that it is actually something good that's happening in life. My papa karma is getting exhausted in my life, and life is what? We saw that at the beginning. Nothing but punya papa reduction, punya papa exhaustion. We are all born on this earth to exhaust these two, which make up our karmas in life. So here, pratikara, he means antidote. He's saying here, apratikara, which means don't seek antidote immediately for unpleasant things. Very, very difficult. Adi Shankara is asking for a very big task from most of us. It is not easy to not seek for an antidote, but he's saying that will make you stronger. If you can bear with some unpleasant for a length of time, if you're able to do it, apratikara purvakam, without escaping, without trying, because that's another way out. Either I try and change it or I want to escape. Arjuna's route is escape in the Bhagavad Gita. He cannot change it, so he's trying to escape. These are the two ways out we get from unpleasant challenges in life. So Adi Shankara is saying, no, look positively at it. I'm exhausting papa. Don't try to escape and neither try to eliminate. Very, very difficult. So he says that the efforts to redress them also, you have to slowly bring down if you can. And there's a beautiful prayer actually that I always bring in, which is a serenity prayer. I've said that before, you know, when, oh Lord, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Oh Lord, give me the courage to change the things I can. So there are things that we can change. Oh Lord, give me the courage to change the things I can. And oh Lord, give me the wisdom to know the difference between things I can change and the things I cannot change. Very beautiful 3 lines, actually. If you live your life with those 3 lines, then you are set already. And so he says, apratipakara purvakam. But he also brings in here, chinta vilaparahitam. How do I accept these? Without worry. Chinta means worry. Chinta rahitam. So one thing is acceptance. Another thing is accepting, worrying about what's going to happen for future. You cannot but accept. Suppose the situation comes and you're really unpleasant. You can't, you are not where you want to be. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's really getting to you. But you're thinking, what's going to happen in future? What is this going to happen? You're imagining all kinds of worst case scenarios in your minds. That is chinta. No, that is not real acceptance that he's talking about here. Titiksha means chinta rahitam. And the only way you can do that is how? By understanding there's an order there in your life. Ishvara, bringing in Ishvara. When you take the situation as prasada, that's why prasada buddhi, that prasada bhavana attitude becomes so important. Because when that is brought in, what happens? Where is the need for worry? Worry shows your lack of surrender. Worry actually shows that you feel you're in control of everything. So worry is a symptom of you showing your control. If the trust is there in the order, Ishvara is going to take care. There is no need for this chinta. That is chinta rahitam. Acceptance means a peaceful acceptance of whatever is happening. And vilapa, so, vilapa is also another very beautiful word here. Vilapa means complaining. Often we accept with munu complaining all the time. Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to go through this? It shouldn't happen to me. I've lived a very dharmic life. This should happen to people who have not lived dharmic life. I'm such a good person. All of this complaining all the time. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why do we not ask, why not me? We never ask, why not me? That question, why not me? Other people have to go through as well. Why not me? So this vilapa also, this always complaining attitude, why me, that also rahitam. Without that, titiksha, so without one thing, without worry, oh, my son is at university, how is he going to cope? How is he going to do? How will he live without me? Vilapa, that chinta is not there. Then this vilapa also, oh my God, this is terrible situation. I have to go through, I have to accept it, but it's awful, and complaining again. Swami Dayananda used to tell he is an expert storyteller. I cannot match his storytelling, but he often used to tell a story about somebody on the train, when they were traveling on the train, husband and wife. And the husband was constantly complaining about being thirsty. He didn't have water because of the heat. I'm thirsty. I don't have water. It's so hot. It's so hot here. And then the wife got off and got water for him. And he quenched his thirst. And the rest of the journey said, it was so hot. It was so hot. I was so thirsty. So he was going on about the conditions that he had to face anyway. So this constant moaning and groaning about what one has to face as well, this vilapa is not there. And this is Adi Shankara's definition of titiksha. It is not an easy quality to gain. Definitely not when you bring in his definition. Maybe we can accept facts. Yes, accept facts. We are forced to accept facts. But can we do it with all his added extras? With his apratipkara purvakam? Can we do it without his chinta vilapa rahitam? That will really help. If you can bring those in your life, that will really put you on the fast track spiritually as well. And this titiksha also comes in the area, not just situations, but people. Shastra brings in this sense of people in one's life as well, one has to face. Titiksha is also brought in there. He brings in another value in the 13th chapter, which talks about this, called Kshanti. I told you about that, accommodation. Titiksha is also about accommodation. In that sense, it is translated as accommodation. We don't say, I tolerate people, because that gives me a superior, like higher than thou type status. No, I tolerate you. That's not a nice thing to hear. No, I accommodate you. Whatever you are, with your background, whatever actions you do, I may not agree with the way you think. I don't agree with the way you act, but that's the way you are. Can we ever say that? It's very difficult, because the first thing is what we try to do. What is it? We want the other person to change. Always we want the others to change. No, that is not my view of how you should be. You have to change. Everybody is trying to change everybody else in their lives. This is how we live as human beings. And that is why we get into conflict, arguments, conflict, because I want people to be different. Titiksha is brought in here as well. No, I let people be who they are. They're in their space. If you don't fit in their space, you don't need as I said, 7 billion people on this planet. We have more than enough people that we can fit in with. We need not be with those people who don't live with our value structures. And if we're forced to be with those people who live, who go against our value, sometimes we're forced to be in such a situation, then what do? Do I let myself get disturbed? In fact, the other person is not getting disturbed. I saw this happening, especially during Donald Trump's, presidency, 4 years. All the night show hosts, everybody disturbed, complaining. Nothing actually touched him. That's what it seemed like. It's not, he was not bothered. Of course, he would react on Twitter or something like that. But who was it touching? The rest of the people who were getting disturbed are the people who did not want him there in that position. So it is our own mind that this is given for. It is not for changing anybody else outside. We cannot, most of the time, we can never change other people. So titiksha, accommodate the way they are, accept this is the way they are, given their background, they cannot be different. That is the way they are. So pleasant and unpleasant situations are what is called duality, what we call term as duality. And what Titiksha does is give you the ability to have a more or less same response to them. Now I'm saying more or less same response because we cannot be happy when unpleasant things happen. We are not, as I said, I'm not emotional. We're not rocks. We are emotional creatures. But I train my mind to have an accommodation of the unpleasant, of the unpalatable that comes in life. And when I discover this, what happens? I don't become elated when things go the way I want, because elation is also a problem. Elation leads to the opposite. So real peace of mind is neither going up when things go the way you want and not going down, nor going down when things don't go the way you want. So this yo-yo thing is what Titiksha helps to quell. It helps to give you that samatvam yoga uchyate. Nityam cha samachittatvam nishta nishtopapattishu. Bhagavan brings it also that having the samachitva, equanimity, relative equanimity through all the ups and downs in life.